It's evening, and while you're scrolling through your phone getting ready for bed, there's someone putting on steel-toed boots and heading into a factory. They'll work through the entire night and won't see daylight until their shift ends at sunrise. Right now, as you watch this, millions of factories around the world are running at full speed. Machines are stamping metal assembly lines, are moving, and workers are producing everything you use daily. These people make your morning routine possible. They ensure packages arrive at your door. They manufacture the device you're holding right now. But here's the thing, almost nobody talks about what actually happens inside these factories when the sun goes down. Most people have no idea what night shift manufacturing really looks like, or why it even exists. Tonight we're going deep inside the world of 24/7 factory work. This isn't glamorous, but it's absolutely fascinating. And by the end, you'll see the products around you in a completely different light, because everything you own was probably made by someone working while you were asleep. Let's start with a question most people never ask. Why do factories operate 24/7 in the first place? The answer is economics, but it's more interesting than you might think. A modern automotive factory can cost upwards of $500 million to build. The machinery inside a semiconductor plant can run into the billions. These aren't just buildings. They're massive investments that only make financial sense if they're producing constantly. But there's another reason, and this one's purely technical. Many manufacturing processes simply can't be stopped and started easily. Take steel production, where blast furnaces operate at temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Shutting one down and restarting it can take weeks and cost millions. The same applies to chemical plants, where reactions happen continuously, or paper mills, where the machinery must maintain consistent heat and pressure. Then there's consumer demand. We live in a world that expects instant gratification. When you order something online at midnight, you expect it to ship the next day. That package doesn't magically appear. Someone worked through the night to pick, pack, and prepare it. The pharmaceutical company producing life-saving medications can't afford to produce only during business hours. And here's something most people don't realize. Night shift workers often get paid more. Shift differentials can add 10 to 20% to base wages, sometimes more. For many workers, especially those supporting families, that extra money makes a real difference. Some workers report that night shift premiums add around few dollars to their annual income, enough to cover children's school supplies and family expenses. So what's it actually like to work when most of the world is asleep? A typical automotive parts factory night shift starts at 11 p.m. Workers arrive 15 minutes early. The parking lot is emptier than during the day, but it's far from deserted. About 200 workers file in for the night shift, roughly 60% of the day shift size. The first thing that strikes visitors to a night shift is the light. Factories are lit by thousands of high-powered LEDs that create an artificial daylight effect. Your body knows it's nighttime, but your eyes are telling you otherwise. This disconnect is one of the biggest challenges night workers face. Quality control workers on engine component lines pull samples every hour and test them for precise measurements down to fractions of a millimeter. A single defective part could cause an engine to fail. So the work requires complete focus, even at 3 a.m. when the body naturally wants to sleep. The rhythm of the night shift is different from day work. There's a particular quiet intensity. Conversations happen, but they're more focused on the work. There is less management presence, which many workers appreciate. It means more autonomy and less looking over your shoulder. Around 2 a.m. comes the lunch break, though. Calling it lunch feels strange when you're eating at a time normally reserved for sleep. The break room has about 20 people, some eating meals, others just closing their eyes for 20 precious minutes. There's a coffee maker that runs constantly. Coffee isn't just a preference on night shift for many, it's a survival tool. One thing that surprises people is the camaraderie. Night shift workers often describe their team as a family. When you're working hours that most of society considers abnormal, you bond with the people sharing that experience. Long-term night shift workers say day shift. People come and go, but night shift people stick together. The work itself varies by industry, but certain truths are universal. Night shift workers deal with equipment breakdowns without the full maintenance staff available during the day. They handle rush orders that come in after business hours. They maintain the same quality standards with fewer resources, and while fighting against their body's natural rhythm. Around 5 a.m., there's a noticeable energy shift. Workers know the end is approaching. The sunrise becomes a psychological finish line. By 7 a.m., workers are in their cars driving home while the rest of the world is driving to work. They'll be asleep by 9 a.m., sleep until 4 or 5 p.m., and have a few hours to handle life responsibilities before starting all over again. Here's what the factory owners don't put in the recruitment brochures: working night shift takes a real toll on your body and life. Human beings evolved to be awake during daylight and asleep at night. Our circadian rhythm, our internal body clock, is deeply programmed. When you work against this rhythm, consequences follow. Research shows that night shift workers have higher rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. The World Health Organization has classified overnight shift work as a probable carcinogen because of how it disrupts natural sleep patterns. These aren't scare tactics. They're documented medical facts. Sleep becomes a precious commodity. Night shift workers typically get 5 to 6 hours of sleep per day compared to the 7 to 8 hours recommended for adults. But it's not just quantity, it's quality. Daytime sleep is lighter and more frequently interrupted. The garbage truck passes by. A neighbor mows their lawn. The world doesn't stop because you need to sleep. Many workers have blackout curtains, white noise machines, and have trained their families to be quiet during sleep hours. Even with all that, it's not the same as nighttime sleep. You never feel fully rested. The social cost is equally significant. Holidays, weekends, family dinners, night shift. Workers often miss these. Some workers have worked the past 3 or 4 Thanksgivings in a row. They might see their kids off to school, but they're asleep when the kids come home. Marriages survive years of opposite schedules, but it requires constant effort. Many night workers find their social circles shrink to almost exclusively other night shift workers because they're the only people awake at the same time. But here's something important. Many workers choose night shift despite these challenges, and not just for the money. Some people are natural night owls who feel more alert in evening and nighttime hours. Others appreciate the reduced supervision and closer team dynamics. Parents sometimes coordinate with partners. One works days, one works nights to avoid childcare costs. The best night shift workers develop strategies. They stick to consistent sleep schedules even on days off. They use light therapy boxes to help regulate their circadian rhythm. They're meticulous about nutrition. They create boundaries with family and friends so their sleep time is protected and respected. So where is all this heading? Automation is changing manufacturing. There's no denying that robots don't need sleep, don't require shift differentials, and don't call in sick. Walk through a modern factory and you'll see machines doing work that 20 years ago required human hands. But here's the reality that often gets lost in headlines about robots taking jobs. Manufacturing is becoming more complex, not less. Those robots need programmers, technicians, and supervisors. When a machine breaks down at 2 a.m., it's not fixing itself. A skilled human needs to diagnose and repair it. The night shift of the future will likely be smaller but more specialized. Instead of hundreds of workers doing repetitive tasks, you'll have dozens of highly trained technicians monitoring automated systems, solving complex problems, and handling the exceptions that machines can't process. Companies are also getting smarter about shift work. Some are experimenting with compressed schedules. 4 10-hour shifts instead of 5 8-hour shifts, giving workers more consecutive days off. Others are implementing better lighting systems that adjust throughout the shift to help regulate workers' circadian rhythms. One thing seems certain: as long as we want products available immediately, as long as critical industries like pharmaceuticals and food processing need continuous operation, and as long as the economics favor running expensive machinery constantly, there will be a night shift. The question isn't whether night shift manufacturing will exist in the future. It's how we can make it healthier, safer, and more sustainable for the people who choose this path. The night shift is one of the most essential yet overlooked parts of our modern economy. The next time you flip on a light, drive your car, or take medication, remember someone probably worked through the night to make that possible. Join our community at NightShiftersHub.com for resources and real talk from people who understand the lifestyle. Connect with thousands of night workers on Telegram. NightShiftersHub, hit that subscribe button if this gave you a new perspective. Stay strong, Night Shifters. The world needs you.